A big part of the Hellblade project is sharing development and being open about how we make the game. So we wanted to announce the game early on in the development process so we could share the journey with you from the very beginning. Something we always do at Ninja Theory is create a previs trailer at the very beginning of development to define the art style, the mood and the tone of the game. As we move through development, then the vision can change a lot, as you'll see from these examples. These videos are never intended to be seen by the public, they're just used to pitch the game to publishers, but given that we are the publisher on Hellblade, there's no real reason to hold them back. We used to create these in CG, but these days we create them in Engine. It's an opportunity for us to take concept art and try and realise it as in-game assets. So we can test whether a character will hold up, we can test whether we can recreate the atmosphere and mood of the art, and we can also test our ability to overcome any technical difficulties. It was also an opportunity to take the tech art experiment, the performance capture tech, and the character tech that we'd been prototyping to see if it held up. At the beginning of this trailer we had very limited resources. We didn't have any designers or animators, and we only had one programmer, and much of his time was being spent on another project. We didn't know when we were going to be staffing up the team, so we had to design the trailer around the art team that we had at the time. And this consisted of a concept artist, an environment artist, a character artist and an art director.
I proposed an idea that was just focusing on revealing Senua as a character and hinting at some of the themes that surround her story. When everyone in the room is shouting, jumping, screaming and shooting, one way to stand out is to just stand still.
The idea was quickly sketched out by Mark, our senior concept artist, into storyboards, which Tamim then took and edited into a sequence. We needed a soundtrack for the trailer, and music licensing can be incredibly complicated and it can take months to get a contract signed. Luckily, in this case, we had a shortcut.
A few years ago I met Danny and Emily from a band called Passarella Death Squad, and we had remained friends ever since. They just recently released a gorgeous track called Just Like Sleep, and so I tried it out in the edit and it just felt really good, it felt right for it. Luckily they were very happy to help out. Knowing that we could use this track, I created a very rough edit that was timed to the music. So in Maya we could now block out the environments and the cameras and iterate very quickly in grey box form until we had precisely locked down what we wanted to see at every shot. As we started locking down the view, we would take screenshots and give it to Mark, our concept artist, who would overpaint these into full-blown illustrations. So now that we had the camera set and we had some great illustrations from Mark, we could go ahead and start dressing the scene in full 3D in Engine. Dan set about creating the in-game assets at this point in Unreal Engine. Where possible, we would use real-world reference if we could. So, for example, I brought in a kitchen knife that was made of hand-folded metal. Melina brought in a fox skull that she found on a dog walk. Claire ordered some leather and material samples over the internet for Senua's dress. And Craig brought in a potato sack.
So it was around this time that Sony got in touch and asked if we wanted to announce the game at Gamescom at their press conference. The only problem was that we'd been working to one deadline and their deadline was a week earlier. But this was such a great opportunity, we couldn't turn it down, so we went for it. At this early stage we didn't have an actress to play Senua, so Melina stepped in to take up the role. Her skin details, wrinkles and pores were captured in 3D using a device that Stu and Craig had developed in-house.
In Heavenly Sword I believe that we were the first game to actually use performance capture, but it can take months to prepare for a shoot. The shoot itself takes weeks, it can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it can be months before you get the data back. Now in Hellblade we do want to push this tech forward again, but for the teaser in particular we wanted to do it on a tiny budget of a few £100 and in a matter of weeks. Stu and Craig worked together on a potential solution, but this was a very high-risk strategy. We didn't know if we could solve the problems and get usable data in the time we had for this teaser. So we shot all of the scenes using Melina, our video editor, as a placeholder actress, and we cut the video edit into the trailer and gave the time codes to Craig to see if he could extract the 3D data. But in this case time was too tight and it didn't pay off. but it's a project we want to return to in the future. Instead, we had GTAC, a new animator, come on board, and he would rotoscope all of the scenes based on the video reference. The final step was grading, so Mark and Alex Tahini, our company art director, overpainted a few of the frames to try and get the ideal lighting and color schemes for the trailer. These would then have to be replicated for the final trailer, both in engine by setting up lights in 3D space and in post. We did make mistakes and we put in a lot of hours to get the trailer done. But to go from an idea to something we're incredibly proud of in 8 weeks and show it at the Sony press conference at Gamescom, it was fantastic.